Hello, my very charming friends. Today is Friday, May the 18th or something, or 19th? 20th. And welcome to Friday. Whoa, that's Lauren's thing. This is the Ottawa edition of A Very Charming Vlog, is what I meant to say. But yeah, welcome back, Lauren. Woohoo! Nice to see that, nothing terrible happened to you while you were on hiatus. I don't actually know. Is that how you actually say that word? Because I have no idea. I've only ever read it. I've never actually heard anybody say it. So, yeah. Right. I'm going to fulfill my challenge to all of you since nobody else has done it yet. And my theory is that regardless of the fact that we actually got a real story as to where Lauren has been, I think that it's a cover story, and she has been out gallivanting with elves for the past 2 months, and that is why she can't remember what she's been doing every week, because, time kind of passes funny when you're with elves and fairies and the like. So that's my theory. I think I told you that I got a job at, you guessed it, Tim Hortons. That makes 3 of 6 of us living in Canada, because, sorry Ian, you don't count in this because, you don't have Tim Hortons in oh my goodness, in Scotland. I'm really bad at this. I almost just called it Ian land. It's a job, I like the people I work with. I made a new friend today. I don't know how to say his name. And he was hitting on me all day long. It was really funny. He told me that it looks like I work out. I don't think it looks like I work out. So I thought I would give you a little sneak peek of something that I'm going to be doing on my own personal channel, which I'm going to link to at some point when there are actually videos up there. I'm trying to get a bunch of friends to help me with this, and so far it hasn't really happened. So I'm just going to go ahead and give this a start. I have to pull up a file on my computer before I can do it, though. My apologies. This came from, I'm taking a fiction writers class, a workshop for fiction writing at school this summer, and we got just a sheet of prompts, like one sentence little things. There's like, there was a peculiar oblong hole in the wall. So this kind of rose out of that. I'm just going to read a bit to you. As teenagers, we used to sit in the Hope and Grace Church of the Fire. It was an old building, probably as old as our town. It had been abandoned for as long as anyone could remember, and we knew, because we'd asked Chad's grandmother one day. We had no idea what a Church of the Fire was, but it was a pretty old building, and no one really went there. The old people were just a little bit afraid of it, even though it hadn't been used in living memory, and the younger people simply couldn't be bothered to go out there. It sat alone in a clearing, in the forest, just north of our town, about 3 miles' trek along a path that had once been a road, I'm sure, but in the years since the church had been used, had dwindled to little more than a deer trail. The Hope and Grace Church of the Fire became something of a second home for us. When Victor couldn't live at home anymore, we camped out with him there for a few days, until things settled down. When Chad got locked out of his house when his parents were gone on holiday, he stayed at the Hope and Grace Church of the Fire. When we had big assignments due, we would get our hands on some whiskey, and stay up all night before it was due, and work together to get everything finished. And in summer, we practically lived at the Hope and Grace Church of the Fire. In all the time we spent at the Hope and Grace Church of the Fire, we never saw another living being. We believed that the rest of the world had forgotten about it, and that it was ours for the taking. You can imagine our surprise then, when a girl just a year or 2 younger than us showed up the night before graduation. We were celebrating the end of our government-legislated education, each of us dressed in our finest, each with our own little bottle of whiskey. The last rays of the summer sun burst in through the holes in the western wall, got caught in the smoke from our carefully contained fire in the center of the church, and set the sequins and jewels on Addie's dress blazing. I watched her carefully. I'd been trying not to be attracted to her for months now, I was watching her carefully. I'd been trying not to be attracted to her for months, and now, with the help of the half bottle of Fireball whiskey burning in my stomach, I was about to give in to the temptation. She lounged casually in her fire dress against a pile of firewood, sipping occasionally on her whiskey. I balled my hands into fists in my own overlarge green skirt and thought about how if we four were elements, I'd be earth and Addie would be fire. She was consuming me. Suddenly, though, something blocked out the sun, and Addie's dress was extinguished to its natural burnt orange and gold. I whipped my head around to see what had caused the disruption, and saw to my disbelief a silhouette of a person through the hole in the wall. I jumped to my feet and let out an involuntary shout. Chad was by my side in an instant, his arm around my waist, peering at the silhouette through the brightness of the dying sun. I felt instantly guilty about looking at Addie, and leaned into Chad's solid side, wrapping my arms around him. And then the sun slipped below the horizon, and the main source of light became our fire. It did little to illuminate the person staring at us from the hole in the wall. The world fell silent, but for the crackling of the fire for a few moments, as we stared at each other. A log falling in the fire finally broke the spell, and Victor went to fix it. "Who are you?" Chad asked. "Come in so we can see you." The silhouette moved into the Hope and Grace Church of the Fire, and for a moment seemed to fade right into the shadows. Chad opened his mouth to call out to it again, but it kept moving into the circle of firelight. As I already said, the girl was just a bit younger than we were. In a town the size of ours, we would have known her if she was from around here, but no one recognized her. She was small, short, and skinny. It was hard to tell what color her hair actually was under the grime and grease. Her clothes were torn and nondescript. She looked around at us with defiance blazing out of her dark gray eyes. "Who are you?" Victor repeated Chad's question, straightening from the fire. He stood closest to her, and I could hear a tremble of fear in his voice. I didn't blame him. If it had been me standing right next to her, I'd probably be running in the opposite direction. Only Chad's arm around my waist kept me from bolting as it was. "It doesn't matter," she said, her voice raspy. "You're not safe here." "It sort of does matter," Chad called. He responded to fear by getting angry. I knew this, and still the fury in his voice shocked me and made me pull away slightly from his warm embrace. He let me go and strode over to the strange girl in the firelight. I hurried to sit next to Addie, and she took my hand in hers, though whether for my comfort or hers, I couldn't tell. "You come in here and scare the crap out of us, and then tell us we're not safe, and you won't tell us who you are?" Chad continued. "I don't think so. What is your name? Where are you from?" She turned her level gaze toward Chad and smiled a wolfish grin. "My name is Nairn. Where I come from is not for you to know." She turned to Addie and I, her face somber once again. "You are not safe here. You must follow me." The girl, Nairn, held out her hands, one to each of us. Addie, always braver than me, stood and took the offered hand, letting mine go. Her dress caught the firelight and blazed once more. I scrabbled to my feet after her, and Nairn slipped her hand into mine. It was small and fine-boned. Chad hurried over to us. "Rosaline, you might want to," he started, but Nairn cut him off. "You two follow," she said simply, and led Addie and I out of the Hope and Grace Church of the Fire. Our fancy dresses, which now seemed ridiculous and chintzy, swished around our legs as we walked. I had loved that sound when I'd first bought my dress, which was partially why I'd chosen such a huge skirt. Chad and Victor followed close behind, looking smart in their suits. Nairn made an almost comical contrast to us in her dirty and torn pants and shirt. And that's all as far as I've gotten. And I do believe that you can probably hear my sister playing the piano in the background, and some fireworks were just let off, I believe, outside, because it's apparently the Bay 2-4 weekend, which, you know, explains a lot of things. And which I forgot about. So I'm going to go edit this video, and I will hopefully see you all on your respective days, and Sean, I'll probably see you tomorrow because you're pretty good at uploading, so DFTBA.